Hello and good afternoon, everyone. We come to you from the Capitol Center here on the campus of Capital University as we get set for another presentation of women's basketball here on the Capital Sports Network. I'm Charlie Danis. I'll be bringing you the action this afternoon as the women's basketball team of Capital gets set to take on the Student Princes of Heidelberg. Capital comes into this game winners of their last 6 games. They're looking to keep that hot streak going. They have also gotten back into the top 25, number 23 by the Riders to be exact, at the Division III level. So they will look to keep the momentum going against a Heidelberg squad that, quite frankly, has had a rough go of it as of late. The Student Princes have come into this game losers of 6 out of their last 8, although they do have an above 500 record in conference play. Heidelberg 4-3 within OAC play, to be more specific. So we got a lot coming up here on the Rusty Bucket pregame show. But first, a commercial break. This is your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
It's the perfect sports bar because it's not just a sports bar.
I'm Gary Calico, founder and president of Rusty Bucket. A lot of families build their sports world around the bucket.
It's not just a guy's night out. You can bring your wife, you can bring your kids.
We get a lot of groups in after games.
Great place after the game.
Kids love to come here.
Rusty Bucket Restaurant Cabinet.
The Rusty Bucket is a proud supporter of the Capital Crusaders. Visit us after the game at 2158 East Main Street and grab life by the bucket.
Brugger's Bagels has been bringing authentic New York-style bagels, breakfast foods, coffee, soups, and more to the world since 1983, and there is a location in Bexley ready to get your day started right. Located on 2510 East Main Street, Brugger's is open Monday through Friday from 5:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays and Sundays from 6:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Brugger's also can cater your next event and can be reached by phone at 614-236-4000. Brugger's Bagels is proud to support Capital University Athletics.
Welcome back to the Rusty Bucket pregame show as we get set for today's women's basketball matchup between Heidelberg and Capital. Let's now take a look at the Ohio Athletic Conference. The standings when it comes to OAC women's basketball look like this heading into play today. Ohio Northern continues to be your top dog in the conference. They're a perfect 7-0 within the OAC. Capital, Mountain Union, and Baldwin-Wallace, meanwhile, are in a 3-way tie for second place. Each of those teams 5-2 within the conference. Heidelberg comes into today's matchup with a 4-3 mark in conference play. Marietta and John Carroll are both 3-4 within the OAC. Wilmington 2-5, Otterbein 1-6, and Muskingum, well, they're still looking for their first win in conference play. They are 0-7 within OAC play. Let's now take a look at the winner of OAC Player of the Week, and that honor happens to belong to John Carroll's sophomore forward, Sarah Carney. Carney, a Worcester, Ohio native, recorded a double-double in each of the Blue Streaks games last week, averaging 15 points at 11 rebounds per game. In an 80-79 loss to Case Western, Carney contributed 20 points, followed by a 10-point performance in a 65-62 win against Muskingum. A lot of games on the docket this afternoon, and let's go ahead and take a look at what will transpire later on today within the OAC. Baldwin-Wallace will play host to Ohio Northern. Wilmington will play host to Muskingum. John Carroll, they will head to Mountain Union to take on the Purple Raiders. And finally, the Otterbein Cardinals will play host to the Pioneers of Marietta. All of those games are scheduled for a 3 o'clock tip. Now, a basketball game that is going on right now, that would be the men's team of Capital. They are on the road today with Heidelberg coming here to play the women. The men have to go on the road. They are at Heidelberg, and at this moment, Capital holds a 35-26 lead over Heidelberg with 53 seconds to go in the first half. Some of the players have stood out in that first half for the men's team so far. Well, no surprise, Mark Minch leads Capital in scoring with 9 points on the day. A.J. Dixon also has 7. And 5 points for Joey Weingartner coming off the bench for the Crusaders. Much more coming up on the Rusty Bucket pregame show. In fact, we'll get to hear my conversation with head coach Dixie Jeffers as her Crusaders get set to take on the Student Princes of Heidelberg. That'll be coming up in the Capital Coaches Corner, brought to you by the Rusty Bucket. Until then, stay tuned for that here on your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
It's for all those MBA seekers out there. For the junior exec who'd rather be senior. For the VP yearning to be CEO. And for everyone who'd call their job not just a profession, but a passion. Capital University's MBA professionals, experienced faculty, flexible schedules, and classmates you'll soon consider colleagues. Learn more at capital.edu/MBA. The Capital University MBA, for those driven to do more.
OSU Sports Medicine is a proud supporter of Crusader student athletes by providing sports health services for Capital University athletics and student health services. Through the work and care of team physicians and athletic trainers, it's the team behind your team. For all fans, if you're looking to improve your physical performance, recover from an injury, or stay active for a lifetime, the experts at Ohio State Sports Medicine are there for you. Visit sportsmedicine.osu.edu or call 366-4332.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the pregame show. We're getting set for today's women's basketball matchup between Marietta and Capital. I'm Charlie Danis, and joining me now, the head coach of the Capital women's basketball program, Dixie Jeffers. Well, coach, 67-59 overtime win over Marietta. Marietta, one of those teams that was very young last year, a year older, and they really gave you all that you could handle.
And, we went down there and started out really well and was up 28 in the first quarter. And then it's just like all of our tires blew out. And then we just, started playing inconsistently, and we're fortunate to come out with the win, and we did a really nice job in overtime.
I understand that game was more eventful in more ways than one.
It was. One of the officials went directly to the hospital afterwards, and I want to do a shout-out to Mike Reynolds for best wishes and a quick recovery, and we'll see you on the court next year.
That's the second game that your team has won in overtime, the first coming against Calvin. What did you learn about your team in those two tough victories that needed extra time?
Well, hopefully they don't like overtimes, but both overtimes we played incredibly well. So hopefully we'll get that out of our system and quit going to overtimes and just play in regulation. You're on the road, anything can happen. It was the first game we had played in over a month on a Wednesday night, starting the classes, first week of classes. It does a lot of different things to kids. I worried about it going down there, and I thought both teams were sluggish, and we were very fortunate to win, and we'll take the W and keep moving on.
Kristen Thompson has 17 points and 14 rebounds against Marietta. She's virtually top 4, top 5 in every offensive category in the OSC. Where does she belong in the discussion for OSC Player of the Year?
Oh, she's right up there. Her double-doubles and what she has meant to this team and how she's helped this team propel along with the other seniors and the depth of all of our bench. She very much belongs into the talk, and I'm sure she will be.
We're talking with Dixie Jeffers here on the pregame show. Well, Coach, next game, Heidelberg, 6-8 overall, 4-3 in OAC play. They've lost 6 out of their last 8. What concerns you when you watch Heidelberg on film?
They're very dangerous. They're athletic. They can shoot the ball extremely well. They got good size inside, and they have good depth. So they're a very good basketball team. I think their record is no indication of the quality of team that they have, and we expect them to come in here at full force today and ready to go.
Their two top players, Marissa Liberty, 11.3 points per game, and Carly Patrick, 10.1 points per game. Liberty out towards the perimeter. Patrick, one of their better post players. What challenges do they present?
Well, they like to do a little pick and roll. So Carly Patrick's a very good athlete, very agile. She finishes well around the basket. And so this team plays well together. They're not selfish. They will share the ball, and depending on who's on, they could make it a long day for us.
We'll get you out with this, Coach. You're going for your 7th straight win. Seems like the team is starting to get it little by little. Do you feel like they're hitting their stride?
I did until we went to Marietta. And I didn't think defensively we were there. I didn't think that we ran the things that we're accustomed to doing. So I've been on their case a little bit here in the last 24 hours about picking up, refocusing, and getting things together. And hopefully on Community Day we'll come out here and give the people a good show.
All right, Coach, good luck against Heidelberg tonight.
Thanks, Charlie.
That was head coach Dixie Jeffers joining us here on the pregame show. We'll have much more coming up after these words.
This is a message for the nurses among us, for those who dream of saving lives, for those who are driven to improve care, and for those ready to help heal what's broken, be it a single bone fracture or an entire hospital system. Capital University's advanced nursing programs are built for you. Engaged faculty, immersive learning, and intimate classes where you'll know everyone's name. To learn more, visit capital.edu/nursing.
Keith Jackson. For 50 years, I've witnessed some of the greatest contests in college football. Young men in competition reaching for their potential at the highest level. But their courage is more than matched by another group of young men, the boys fighting Duchenne muscular dystrophy. It is the most prolific genetic killer diagnosed in childhood, and there is no cure. But college football coaches are doing something about it, and you can help. It's called Coach to Cure MD. Text the word CURE, C-U-R-E, to 90999 to donate $5 on your next mobile phone bill, or go online at coachtocuremd.org. Text the word CURE, C-U-R-E, to 90999 today, and help the college football coaches cure MD. You'll be proud you joined the team.
Brought to you by the American Football Coaches Association. Standard messaging rates apply.
Just as fresh as its pizza, Donato's is fresh off of its 50th anniversary and still serving the Columbus area with pride. Now introducing online ordering, Donato's Pizza is ready for your order at any time from anywhere. Donato's also features a gluten-free menu and will even cater your next big event. Donato's Pizza in Bexley is located at 2800 East Main Street and is available by phone at 614-235-4477. Donato's Pizza, proud supporter of Capital Crusader Athletics. Just as
Welcome back to the Rusty Bucket pregame show. We're getting set for today's women's basketball matchup between Heidelberg and Capital here on the Capital Sports Network. I'm Charlie Danis. Rather warm day here in Bexley, and let's go ahead and set the table for Capital. This is brought to you by Pepsi. Live for now. In our last game for Capital men's basketball, we were talking about how Mark Minch has been having a fantastic season for the men's team, perhaps vaulting himself into discussion for the OAC Player of the Year. The same can be said for Kristen Thompson, who has been having a fantastic year for the Crusaders so far. She had another double-double the other night against Marietta, 17 points and 14 rebounds, just keeping on adding on to the stats for this 2015-2016 season. When you take a look at the individual offensive leaders of the OAC, she's virtually top 5 in every single category, not concerning a three-point shot. Her 15.6 points per game is third best in the OAC. Her 10.7 rebounds per game is best in the conference. And her 51.5% shooting percentage from the field, well, that's good for 5th in the conference. So she'll be right up there with Annie Bova of Mountain Union, Caitlin Spahar of John Carroll, and Mariah Huck of Otterbein. Just some of the other players that have really stood out within the OAC as of late. As I talked about at the top of this broadcast, Capital is going for their 7th straight win today. It's great also that they have found themselves back in the top 25, number 23 by the Riders, as a matter of fact. So that is great to see. And they're only going to try to get just a little bit better here against the Heidelberg squad that has really struggled as of late, losing 6 out of their last 8 games. Before we get to the discussion about Heidelberg, however, taking a look at some other players that have stepped up as of late. How about Colleen Fondesi? Coming into this season, all the talk was about the 5 seniors that Capital had at its disposal this season, that being Kristen Thompson, Jenna Irwin, Nina Napolitano, Simone Gage, and Shelby Sigmund. But if you had to pick a player that has really come through, that has really, to a certain extent, surprised this season, look no further than Colleen Fondesi, 7.1 points per game. But her last 2 games, she has gone into double figures. In fact, in that last game that Capital played, that being the road game at Marietta, she had 13 points off the bench. She has really been a big part of Capital's success. There have been games where, due to foul trouble, due to some health concerns, she has had to step into the lineup, and she has contributed beautifully, not only as a post player, but also as a player that can hit the three-point shot every once in a while. So great to see Colleen Fondesi, the junior from Fostoria, Ohio, making an impact off the bench for these Crusaders. Today, Capital taking on the Student Princes of Heidelberg. We will preview them next as we continue to roll along here on the Rusty Bucket pregame show.
I wanted to fly. They said I couldn't. So I built a plane, then a spaceship, then I went to the moon. I invented jazz, hip-hop, rock and roll. Some called it noise. I said it was music. I wrote a letter and sent it by ponies. It didn't get to you fast enough, so I used trucks and ships. But still, they weren't fast enough for me. So I lost the paper and the ink. I sent it by magic. I called it email. I made up new words: jukebox, bling, Google. And I decided some old words weren't okay to say ever again. The mustache. I tried to bring that back 17 times. I wore knickerbockers and shoulder pads, poodle skirts, and flannel. When I came back from World War II, all I had was a t-shirt. So I made that cool. In fact, I invented cool. Who am I? I'm the spirit of youth. It's my job to move the world forward. Pepsi. Every generation refreshes the world.
We're back here at the Capitol Center as we continue to roll along here on the Rusty Bucket pregame show. It is now time to set the table for Heidelberg, today's opponent for Capital. This brought to you by Capital Dining Services. Well, Heidelberg 6-8 overall, 4-3 within OAC play. They've had a rough go of it as of late. They have lost 6 out of their last 8 games. Their top 2 scorers this year have been Marissa Liberty. Liberty comes into this game averaging 11.3 points per game. She will be playing at the center spot today for the Student Princes. She's also helped out by Carly Patrick. Patrick is a player that has been averaging 10.1 points per game, the 5'8" junior from Norwalk, Ohio. Also a decent three-point shooter as well, so we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that. Other players that will stand out for Heidelberg this year: Teresa Jackson, 9.7 points per game. Another player that tends to do a lot of work on the low block. Coach Jeffers was telling us earlier today that Heidelberg, although that they have lost a bunch of games recently, still a dangerous team. So Capital will have to be on their A game. I know for sure that Coach Jeffers is looking for a much better effort from her team, particularly offensively, especially after nearly falling to Marietta on Wednesday night. So there is no letting up here in the OAC. Capital looking to keep that win streak going, extend it to 7 games this afternoon. We'll have much more coming up on the Rusty Bucket pregame show after these words.
This is a message for all those MBA seekers out there. For the junior exec who'd rather be senior. For the VP yearning to be CEO. And for everyone who'd call their job not just a profession, but a passion. Capital University's MBA program was built exclusively for professionals, experienced faculty, flexible schedules, and classmates you'll soon consider colleagues. Learn more at capital.edu/MBA. The Capital University MBA, for those driven to do more.
Don't settle for a tasteless pizza after the game when Anthony's Pizzeria is right in your neighborhood, serving up the best East Coast-style pie with their own fresh dough made daily. Family-owned and Bexley proud, Anthony's offers the best subs on the block, as well as fresh calzones and stromboli, and Anthony's Pizza has been voted #1 on Pleasant Ridge. Dine in or carry out, Anthony's is easy to find at 602 Pleasant Ridge, adjacent to the Capital University Athletic Complex. And as easy as dialing 231-6628 to order the best. 231-6628, Anthony's Pizzeria.
Ed, what is that bizarre contraption?
It's my latest Jimmy John's online ordering enhancement, sir.
Really?
Yes, sir. You know our popular Jimmy John's online ordering service?
Yes, click, order, eat.
This is the perfect time-saving companion.
How perfect, Ed?
Presenting the Jimmy John's F4000 three-dimensional sandwich printer.
Oh, boy.
So we put one of these babies in the home of every Jimmy John's customer. They order the sandwich online. And we send a signal to the F4000 to make their sandwich.
Ed, how much does one of these babies cost?
With the quantity discount, $50,000, sir.
And how long does it take to print a sandwich?
About 8 hours, sir.
You see where I'm going with this?
So back to the drawing board?
No, stay away from the drawing board, Ed.
ROTC is one of the best leadership courses in the country and can be a part of your college curriculum. As a potential or current student at Capital University, learning to become a leader will make your college experience even richer and prepare you for the future. Capital Army ROTC can provide scholarships and many more benefits to those who enroll, but the biggest benefit will be experienced firsthand after joining. For more information on Capital Army ROTC, testimonials, and an in-depth look at what the program can offer you, go to www.capital.edu/ROTC.
Welcome back to the Rusty Bucket pregame show. Capital taking on Heidelberg today. It'll be a presentation of women's basketball here on the Capital Sports Network. Now, not only will a basketball game be played this afternoon, but today is the inaugural Community Day presented by Capital Athletics. This afternoon's women's basketball game against Heidelberg is on us. The athletic department is waiving admission with hopes you'll donate instead to the local chapter of Special Olympics Ohio. Enjoy the game, and then afterward, the nationally ranked Crusaders will host a team meet and greet right on the floor. Scheduled posters and team photos will be provided for all of you fans for autographs, or bring your own item for the team to sign. And by the way, after autographs, the Crusaders will host a free youth basketball skills clinic inside the Cap Center, free of charge. Kids grades 1 through 8 are invited to participate to learn from some of the best in the country and nationally recognized coach Dixie Jeffers. You only get this and more when you're part of the Cap family. So plenty of different events taking place here on campus here in Bexley. Now, I mentioned a moment ago that the men's team in action right now. They have gone to halftime, and Capital leads Heidelberg in that one by a score of 36-29. The men's team shooting 52% from the field, 3 of 10 from beyond the arc, and 7 of 11 from the free throw line, good for 63.6%. Mark Minch continued to be the leading scorer of that game for Capital. 9 points at the break for Mr. Minch. A.J. Dixon also had 7 points, and Michael Green and Joey Weingartner each had 5 points. The men's team coming off of, I would say, a disappointing loss to Marietta, a game that they gave all that the Pioneers could handle. Remember, Marietta came into that game as the number 10 team in the country. And if it hadn't have been for a rather poor first half in terms of shooting, Capital probably would have beaten Marietta. It's the third time this season that the men's team has given one of the top teams in the OAC all that they can handle. Lost to Mount Union right here at the Cap Center earlier this year, gave the Purple Raiders all that they could handle. Then on the road, they lose by 1 to John Carroll to begin the new year of 2016, and then another frustrating loss, this time at the hands of Marietta. You just kind of get the feeling that this Capital squad, which has been brilliantly coached by interim head coach Andy Winters up until this point, you get the feeling that the Crusaders are right there on the cusp of knocking off one of the big boys. And it is Coach Winters who keeps on telling me that it's all about the process. It's all about trying to get better, trying to build momentum for a possible postseason berth. The way things are looking right now for the men's team, at least in the OAC standings, they will not get in as an at-large bid. So they're going to have to put all their chips in for the OAC tournament, which will be coming up in late February. Hopefully they can get a good bracket, perhaps knock off one of those top teams, whether it be Mount Union or John Carroll or Marietta. But in the meantime, they got a rather easy slate of games coming up here. Heidelberg, hopefully Capital will be able to take care of business against the Student Princes today. They follow that game up with a home game against Muskingum, which will be our next men's basketball broadcast next Wednesday. Then a game at Ohio Northern, and then a home game against Wilmington, that taking place on January 27th. And then another tough, rough stretch for Capital at Mount Union on Saturday, January 30th. followed by a Wednesday night affair at Marietta on February 3rd, and then a home game against John Carroll. That'll be Saturday afternoon on February 6th. Still a lot to look forward to with this men's team. A good young, solid nucleus, and the job done by Mark Minch, one of the top scorers in the OAC. He has had a fantastic season for the Crusaders. Speaking of basketball games, we're getting set for one right here at the Cap Center. The women's team taking on Heidelberg. Capital looking to extend its win streak to 7 straight. When we come back, we'll have the keys to victory. What will it take for Capital to get a win here today against Heidelberg? We'll have that for you and much more as we continue to roll on here on the Rusty Bucket pregame show.
Anthony's Pizzeria is right in your neighborhood, serving up the best East Coast style pie with their own fresh dough made daily. Family owned and Bexley proud, Anthony's offers the best subs on the block as well as fresh calzones and stromboli. And Anthony's Pizza has been voted #1 on Pleasant Ridge. Dine in or carry out, Anthony's is easy to find at 602 Pleasant Ridge, adjacent to the Capital University Athletic Complex. And as easy as dialing 231-6628 to order the best. 231-6628, Anthony's Pizzeria.
Dill's Greenhouse is a local family business dedicated to offering the best shopping experience and honest prices for your gardening needs. If you're in need of annuals, perennials, vegetable plants, or any variety of gardening tools and resources, Dill's Greenhouse is more than happy to get you on the right path. Dill's Greenhouse is located at 5800 Rager Road in Groveport, Ohio, and is open 7 days a week. Visit them online for more information at dillsgreenhouse.net. Dill's Greenhouse. Only nature does it better.
Welcome back to the Capital Center. Time now for today's Keys to the Game, brought to you by the J Company. Capital trying to go for its 7th straight win today. If you ask me, they should just keep on going to Kristen Thompson. Thompson comes in here averaging 15.6 points per game, 3rd best in the OAC. Also 10.7 rebounds per game, good for 1st in the conference. So keep on going to the well for Kristen Thompson. Meanwhile, Capital will have to look out for that dynamic duo, if you will, of Marissa Liberty and Carly Patrick. They're going to have their hands full down there on the low block. So Capital's going to really need to tighten their interior defense up, especially for this game against Heidelberg. And finally, just keep on playing well at home. Capital has done extremely well here at the Cap Center. The women's team, an impressive 5-0 here at the Cap Center this season. They'll hopefully keep that going here against Heidelberg. We'll step aside for just a moment. When we come back, we'll have the starting lineups for you. This has been the Rusty Bucket pregame show here on your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
It's the perfect sports bar because it's not just a sports bar.
I'm Gary Calico, founder and president of Rusty Bucket. A lot of families build their sports world around the bucket.
It's not just a guy's night out. You can bring your wife, you can bring your kids.
We get a lot of groups in after games.
Great place after the game.
Kids love to come here.
The Rusty Bucket Restaurant and Tavern.
The Rusty Bucket is a proud supporter of the Capital Crusaders. Visit us after the game at 2158 East Main Street and grab life by the bucket.
Jimmy John's, world's greatest gourmet sandwiches. Head speaking.
Yes, I need a sandwich delivery right away.
What kind of sandwich?
I don't care. Just get it to 215 Elm Street right now.
I'm on my way. Jimmy John's.
Thanks for getting here so fast.
You're welcome, sir. Here's your sandwich. By the way, did you know your house is on fire?
That's why I called Jimmy John's.
Fire make you hungry?
No, I knew you'd get here fast. Grab a bucket.
We're going to need more than 2 guys, sir.
You're right. What'll we do?
Leave it to me, sir. Hello, boss. Send everyone you got to 215 Elm. Doesn't matter what kind of sandwich, sir. I'll explain later. Thanks, sir.
Jimmy John's. Come in. Sir, did you know your house is on fire? Yes, I did. Grab a bucket.
Jimmy John's.
Come in.
Sir, did you know your house
I
is
did.
on
Grab a
fire?
bucket.
Jimmy John's.
Come in.
Sir, did you know...
Yes, I did. Grab a bucket.
Jimmy John's.
Come in.
Sir, did you...
Yes, I did. Grab a bucket. Fire department. Come in. Sir, did you know your... It's okay, Captain. We got it handled. Care for a sandwich? Thanks, but tell me something. Shoot. Why didn't you call the fire department first? I did.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. We come to you from the Capitol Center as we get set for another presentation of women's basketball here on the Capitol Sports Network. I'm Charlie Danis. I'll be bringing you the action today from Bexley. Let's now get to today's starting lineups, brought to you by Dill's Greenhouse. Only nature does it better. First, for the visiting student princess of Heidelberg, the starting lineup for Heidelberg will look like this. At forward will be the 5'8" junior from Norwalk, Ohio, number 4, Carly Patrick. At center will be the 6'1" senior from Lapeer, Michigan. That would be number 43, Marissa Liberty. At guard will be the 5'7" senior from Bucyrus, Ohio, number 2, Allie Hawkins. Also at guard will be the 5'4" junior from Orrville, Ohio, number 12, Maggie Dayvault. And finally, rounding out the starting 5 for Heidelberg will be the 5'7" senior from Lewis Center, Ohio, number 21, Nicole Payne. Morgan Schreiber in her 3rd year as head coach for Heidelberg. Meanwhile, for Capital, here's what the starting lineup will look like for the Crusaders. At guard will be the 5'7" senior from Akron, Ohio, number 14, Nina Napolitano. Also at guard will be the 5'3" senior from Dayton, Ohio, number 15, Simone Gage. Also at guard will be the 5'8" senior from Springfield, Ohio, number 20, Jenna Irwin. Also at guard will be the 5'8" senior from Bellbrook, Ohio, number 21, Shelby Sigmund. And rounding out the starting 5 for the Crusaders today will be the 5'10" senior forward from Cincinnati, Ohio, number 24, Kristen Thompson. In her 30th year as head coach of Capital is Dixie Jeffers. Both of these teams heading in seemingly different directions. Capital has won 6 straight games. Meanwhile, Heidelberg has lost 6 out of its last 8. Capital looking to extend that win streak to 7 games. Coming into play today, Capital is tied with Mount Union and Baldwin Wallace for 2nd place in the OAC. Ohio Northern continues to be the top team in the conference with a perfect 7-0 mark. It's now time for today's opening tip, brought to you by Zoe's Cafe. Kristen Thompson will battle for the ball with Carly Patrick. Ball is tipped up and away, and Patrick wins the tip for Heidelberg. We are underway here at the Capitol Center. Dayvault running the point, going down the lane. Now she'll kick it back out to Allie Hawkins. Hawkins on the right wing, passes it over to Liberty. Liberty will now bounce it over to Nicole Payne. Back to Hawkins. Hawkins being guarded by Gage. She'll dribble in, pass back out to Payne. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Losing the ball momentarily is Patrick, who regains it, but then a steal by Simone Gage. Gage will race up the court, and she will rattle it home for the first 2 points of this ball game. 2-0 in favor of Capital. Hawkins will dribble down the lane. She'll put it up, and she will score. 2-2. Fed ahead quickly to Sigmund. Now back to Gage. Gage pointing out instructions to Thompson. Now to Napolitano on the right wing. Over to Irwin at the top of the arc. Swung all the way around to Sigmund near the right corner. Sigmund to Gage. Gage towards the free throw line, and her 15-footer will swish through. 4-2 in favor of Capital. 8:48 remaining in the first quarter. Dayvault to Hawkins. Now they'll go inside to Liberty. Now it's back out to Hawkins. 16 on the shot clock. Hawkins will swing it over to Patrick. And now a foul is going to be called against Heidelberg. Looks like a moving screen that time. So Capital will get the ball back here. Leading Heidelberg 4-2 here in the early going. Just under 8.5 to play here in the first quarter of play. Irwin, near the right elbow. Now back out to Napolitano when she was bumped. No, actually, foul's going to go against Capital. Looks like the foul's going to be called against Irwin as she just got a little bit too rough down there in the interior. So now both teams have 1 foul apiece. Heidelberg back with the basketball. Patrick, top of the arc. Now over to Jessica Barnes, who has recently checked in for Heidelberg. Jumper in the lane is good for Marissa Liberty, the 6'1" senior from Lapeer, Michigan. Tie game at 4 apiece. 7:52 remaining in the first quarter. Thompson to Sigmund on the right wing. Sigmund bounces over to Irwin, top of the arc. Now they go inside to KT. KT not able to finish the layup. And the rebound taken by Nicole Payne. They will go inside. Pass is picked up by Jenna Irwin. Irwin across half court. Irwin down the lane. Now back out to Gage. Inside. Irwin goes to work. Got fouled. Did not make the shot, but she will head to the free throw line. Jenna Irwin, 5'8" senior from Springfield, Ohio, comes into this game averaging 12.5 points per game. These will be the first foul shots of the day for Capital. First free throw is good for Irwin. Usually pretty solid from that part of the floor. 79.7% free throw shooter. She will now get another opportunity at the charity stripe, and it's good. So 2 points early on for Jenna Irwin. It's back up to a 2-point lead for Capital. 6-4 over Heidelberg. 7:15 remaining. Ball goes out of bounds, and it'll be Capital basketball. Napolitano will inbound it to Simone Gage, who will gently walk it up the court. She's now past the timeline. Strolling to the right wing. Simone will bounce over to the left to Thompson. Now over to Sigmund. Sigmund, 10-foot jumper is no good, but she gets her own rebound. Shelby now back out to Simone. Simone will now reset. Nina now on the right wing. Napolitano somehow bouncing it over to Irwin, and Gage wasn't able to save it either. It went under the hands of both Irwin and Gage, out of bounds on the near side, and Heidelberg will now get the ball back. Speaking of Heidelberg, they will make a substitution. Shelby Durth, 5'11" senior from Seville, Ohio, checks in. Taking the place of Nicole Payne out there on the floor. So now Allie Hawkins, cross half court. Over to Durth. Durth to Patrick. Now over to Abrecht. Three-pointer on the way. That is no good, but the rebound is secured by Liberty. Liberty misses the shot. A loose ball, and somehow coming up with it is Carly Patrick. So now Heidelberg will reset in the half court. They trail Capital 6-4 with 6:17 remaining. Three-pointer on the way. That will swish through for Allie Hawkins, the 5'7" senior from Bucyrus, Ohio. First lead of the afternoon for Heidelberg. They now lead Capital 7-6 with 6:04 remaining in the first half. First quarter, I should say. Sigmund dribbling in. Right hand, not able to get the shooter's roll. Thompson, offensive rebound. The putback's good for KT. Capital back out in front by 1. 8-7, 5:45 remaining in the first quarter. Durth over to Hawkins. Hawkins trying to drive against Simone, but kicks it out. The three-pointer is missed by Abrecht, and the rebound secured by Sigmund for Capital. Fed ahead to Simone. Simone bounce pass, finds KT. KT converts at the rim. And now Heidelberg will take a timeout. We will step aside as well. 5:25 remaining in the first quarter. It is Capital 10, Heidelberg 7. This is your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
With 14 TVs to watch your favorite team or the next big event, Planks Cafe and Pizzeria in German Village is ready for you and your group today. Plenty of free parking, free Wi-Fi, banquet rooms for private parties, and daily specials. What more reason do you need to visit Planks Cafe and Pizzeria? Planks is located at 743 Parsons Avenue and has been serving the Columbus community since 1939. Planks is on the web at plankscafe.com or available by phone at 614-443-6251. Planks Cafe and Pizzeria is a proud supporter of Crusader Athletics.
Back here at the Capital Center, 5:22 remaining in the first quarter. It is Capital leading Heidelberg 10-7. Checking into the ball game, Shiloh Murphy. Murphy with a jumper, and it's good for the 5'9" sophomore from Zanesville, Ohio. 10-9 lead for Capital now as we're approaching 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Sigmund, right wing, over to Napolitano. They'll go inside to Thompson. Now a three-pointer on the way for Simone. That's no good, but the offensive rebound taken by Kristen Thompson, and now a foul called on Heidelberg. I think they're going to get Shelby Durth for a reach-in foul. It is going to be indeed Durf. That's now the second team foul on Heidelberg. Sigmund inbounds it to Napolitano near the right corner. Nina driving in and not getting the layup to go, but gets her own offensive rebound, however. And now she'll calmly walk it outside the arc. Gives it to Simone. They will reset. Colleen Fondesi, by the way, checked in for Capital as well. She has played very well as of late off the bench. They get it inside the Thompson. Thompson losing the ball momentarily, but gets it back out to Nina Napolitano. 9 seconds on the shot clock. Gage will go baseline. Floater, no good. Tipped up in the air, and the rebound is eventually corralled by Teresa Jackson, the 5'10" junior from Wakeman, Ohio for Heidelberg. Abrecht, meanwhile, on the right wing. And now a traveling violation going to be called against Jackson. She tried going with a pump fake. The problem was she wasn't able to keep her feet on the ground. So Fondesi will now get it into Gage. Capital with a 10-9 lead over Heidelberg. 4:08 remaining in the first quarter. Gage across half court. Surveying the field. Now bounces it over to Thompson. Thompson hands off to Nina, who loses it. Thompson gets it back. And now a foul is called against Heidelberg. They'll get one of the student princes on another reach in this time. This will go against Jackson. Third team foul on Heidelberg. Still no fouls called on Capital. Gage gets it into Fondesi. Fondesi wide open for a jumper. Colleen knocks it down. Tell you what, that jumper has been really solid for Fondesi as of late. Whether it be from 10 feet, 15 feet, or outside the arc, Colleen has been knocking them down. Capital 12, Heidelberg 9 with 3:40 remaining in the first quarter. Abrecht, pass nearly picked off by Nina. She loses it, however. Heidelberg gets it back. And now, let's see here. Looks like an issue with the clock, as they will stop play with 3:31 remaining in the game. It looked like maybe the shot clock had reset. And it looks like Capital and both Heidelberg will be making some substitutions here. Chelsea Pla will check in for Thompson. She'll take a breather on the bench. And then 3 substitutes for Heidelberg. Carly Patrick comes back in. Mariah Pearson and Nicole Payne also check into the ball game for the student princess. So now the shot clock has been reset to 9 seconds. Heidelberg not working with a lot here offensively as they inbound it to Patrick. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Patrick's dribbling around. Gets it over to Dave Vault. Long jumper. That is no good. In fact, that was an air ball launched by Mariah Pearson. Shot clock violation on Heidelberg. As I mentioned, Pla has now checked into the ballgame for Capital. Let's see what the 5'11" sophomore from Macedonia, Ohio can do for the Crusaders today. Napolitano going to be called for a traveling violation. Kind of got stuck in no man's land as she was dribbling towards the elbow, sandwiched in between Shiloh Murphy. And it looked like Nicole Payne as well. And Heidelberg having trouble getting the ball in, and Simone takes it away. And to add insult to injury for Heidelberg, another foul called against the student princess, as Nicole Payne will be whistled for the reach-in foul. 14th foul on Heidelberg. Checking in now for Heidelberg will be Jessica Barnes. This is the first time we've seen her this afternoon, the 5'6" sophomore from Middleburg Heights. 3:10 remaining in the first quarter. Capital 12, Heidelberg 9. Napolitano gets it into Simone. Simone near the right wing, now over to Colleen. Back over to Nina. Nina trying to dribble in, loses the ball, and coming up with it is Shiloh Murphy. Murphy running the floor, gets it ahead to Patrick. Patrick gets the bucket to go, and a foul. She was fouled by Colleen Fondesi. So she'll now have a chance for the three-point play. Patrick, a 5'8" junior from Norwalk, Ohio. And now checking in for Heidelberg will be Marissa Liberty. Heidelberg got some good minutes out of Shiloh Murphy. Patrick's free throw, meanwhile, no good. And nice job by Colleen Fondesi, tipping the rebound to herself. Capital still with a 1-point lead, 12-11 over Heidelberg with 2:45 remain in the first quarter. To Pla, to Gage in the right corner. 15 on the shot clock. Annika Watchman has just checked in for Capital, by the way. Coming up with the loose ball now is Mariah Pearson. She'll race ahead. Then Pearson was fouled by Nina Napolitano, and rather hard as well. Sigmund and Irwin will check in for Capital, and now they're having a discussion as to whether or not that was an intentional foul by Napolitano. They're still having that discussion near the left block. Capital leading Heidelberg 12-11 with 2:33 remaining. And it looks like she is going to be called for an intentional foul. Everybody vacating the lane that time, and Pearson will now shoot a technical free throw. First free throw is good for Pearson, the 5'5" junior from Painesville, Ohio. Another technical free throw upcoming here for Pearson. Heidelberg will also get the ball back. The second free throw is good. Heidelberg now back up by 1. 13-12, but the bigger story now is Nina Napolitano with 2 fouls early on in this game. So Heidelberg back with the basketball after reclaiming the lead, 13-12 over Capital, under 2.5 to play in the first quarter. Action on the left wing, Nicole Payne dribbling around, settles for a jumper. That is no good, but Colleen Fondesi thought she had the rebound, but has her pocket picked by Pearson. Pearson has exhibited some really quick hands here so far for Heidelberg. Patrick will try to get it in, but it goes over the hands of Liberty, out of bounds. It'll be Capital basketball. So far in this game, Heidelberg shooting 50% from the field, Capital shooting 45.5% from the field. Gage trying to size up her man, dribbles in. Three-pointer on the way for Sigmund. That is no good, but Irwin's right there to clean it up. Misses her shot. Fondesi with an offensive board. Back up and in for Colleen. 14-13. Capital reclaims the lead. Boy, it's been a back-and-forth affair between the Student Princes and Crusaders so far. Loose ball. Irwin comes away with it after the missed shot by Pearson. Fed ahead to Colleen. Colleen will try to race ahead. Nearly loses the ball. Colleen recovers, gets it over to Sigmund. Sigmund could have had Irwin there on the inside that time, but the hole quickly closed up. Now it's back to Irwin on the right wing. And Jenna fights her way through some traffic as another foul is going to be called against Heidelberg. 15 foul on the Student Princes. I think the foul went against Jessica Barnes. It was indeed on Barnes. And because of that foul, Capital will now be shooting free throws the rest of the way here in this quarter. So Irwin, usually a very good free throw shooter, heads to the line. First free throw, good for Jenna Irwin. Second free throw now on the way for Irwin. She'll bounce the ball a couple times. Looks towards the rim, lets it go, and that will rattle home as well. Capital 16, Heidelberg 13, 1:19 remaining in the first quarter. Inbounded to Allie Hawkins now. Hawkins, cross half court, over to the left wing, being guarded by Watchman. She'll swing it over to Abrecht. Now they go inside to Liberty. Liberty passing on the inside, and the shot missed. Rebound taken by Kristen Thompson after the miss by Shiloh Murphy. Under a minute to play here in the first quarter. Irwin, left wing. to Sigmund in the corner. Sigmund will try to go baseline. Shelby Sigmund with a tough shot. Makes it. Holy moly. 18-13. Capital with the lead with 38 seconds to go in the first quarter. Hawkins on the right wing. And Heidelberg loses it out of bounds. It'll be Capital basketball with 31 seconds remaining. So a 1 second differential between the shot clock and the game clock here in the first quarter. Virtually Capital can get it down to the last remaining seconds here, get a good shot off, and have some momentum heading into the second quarter. Watchman dribbling around near the right wing. Got a screen from Thompson. Watchman to Sigmund, over to Irwin, and Irwin got fouled with 9.1 seconds remaining on her drive to the hoop, so once again she will be heading to the free throw line. Irwin so far in this game, 4 points, a perfect 4 of 4 from the free throw line. First free throw is good for Irwin. So make it 5 points for the senior from Springfield, Ohio. Checking into the ballgame is Emily Moran. She'll allow Thompson to get a few moments of rest on the bench. Second free throw now upcoming for Irwin. It's up. It's no good. Liberty secures the rebound. 6 seconds. 5 seconds. Shiloh Murphy across half court. Shiloh will put up a three and misses it. As now the end of the first quarter will end. After 1 quarter of play, it is Capital 19, Heidelberg 13. We'll be back with second quarter action in just a moment. This is your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
Ed, what is that bizarre contraption?
It's my latest Jimmy John's online ordering enhancement, sir.
Really?
Yes, sir. You know our popular Jimmy John's online ordering service?
Yes, click, order, eat.
This is the perfect time-saving companion.
How perfect, Ed?
Presenting the Jimmy John's F4000 three-dimensional sandwich printer.
Oh, boy.
So they put one of these babies in the home of every Jimmy John's customer. They order the sandwich online. And we send a signal to the F4000 to make their sandwich.
Ed, how much does one of these babies cost?
With the quantity discount, $50,000, sir.
And how long does it take to print a sandwich?
About 8 hours, sir.
You see where I'm going with this?
So back to the drawing board?
No, stay away from the drawing board, Ed.
Just as fresh as its pizza, Donato's is fresh off of its 50th anniversary and still serving the Columbus area with pride. Now introducing online ordering, Donato's Pizza is ready for your order at any time from anywhere. Donato's also features a gluten-free menu and will even cater your next big event. Donato's Pizza in Bexley is located at 2800 East Main Street and is available by phone at 614-235-4477. Donato's Pizza, proud supporter of Capital Crusader Athletics.
Welcome back to the Capital Center, where we get set to begin second quarter action. Capital 19, Heidelberg 13. A quick look at the stats here. Capital shooting 46.7% from the field. They have launched only one shot from three-point range, missing it. Heidelberg, meanwhile, 38.5% from the field. 20% from three-point range, 1 of 5 from beyond the arc. Irwin to Thompson on the right wing. KT goes to work. Jumper, no good, but Irwin's right there with the offensive putback. Jenna Irwin has gotten off to a nice start in this ball game. She now has 7 points. It's now a 21-13 lead for Capital. 9:35 to play in the second quarter. Murphy on the left wing. Dribbling now to her left, losing it, but Liberty gets it back for Heidelberg. Hawkins will drive on in, goes out of bounds, and it will stay Heidelberg basketball. The Student Princes will have 10 seconds to work with on the shot clock. Heidelberg, by the way, wearing their bright orange uniforms. I swear you could see these from the moon. They are so bright. Capital, meanwhile, in the customary whites with purple lettering. Three-pointer on the way. That is no good, and Colleen Fondesi saves it for Capital. Gets it ahead to Simone Gage. Let's see if Capital now can go on a little bit of a run and put some breathing room in between a Heidelberg squad that was quite pesky in the first quarter. Irwin nearly losing it. She'll drive in, gets her own offensive rebound after the miss. Misses again, gets another offensive rebound. Long jumper for Sigmund, and that's no good as the rebound is taken by Nicole Payne. Hawkins quickly driving in. A kick out to Payne. Payne back to Hawkins. Hawkins going along the baseline, nearly lost it out of bounds. Somehow gets the pass over to Dirth, who misses a three. Fondesi with the rebound. Gage over to Sigmund. Sigmund on the inside to Thompson. Thompson back out to Simone. Inside, a cutting Fondesi, who has her shot rejected by Teresa Jackson. Checking into the ballgame now for Heidelberg will be Carly Patrick. Taking a seat will be Jackson. So Jackson gets a swat and then heads to the bench. Sigmund inbounds it from the baseline, gets it into Thompson. Thompson missing it, not able to get her own rebound. The rebound taken by Nicole Payne. Fed ahead to Hawkins. Hawkins going down the floor. Nice drop-off pass to Carly Patrick. And Heidelberg inches a little closer. Capital 21, Heidelberg 15. Coming up on 8 minutes to play here in the second quarter. Sigmund on the left wing. Over to Fondesi at the top of the arc. Colleen hands off to Simone, who promptly passes it to her right to Irwin. And Irwin is going to be fouled on the play by Nicole Payne. Apparently a hand check foul on the 5'7" senior from Lewis Center, Ohio. Went to Olentangy High School here in the Columbus area. Teams first for Heidelberg here in the second quarter. Fondesi, meanwhile, at the top of the arc. Over to Irwin on the left wing. Irwin to Gage on the right wing. 15 on the shot clock. Simone will throw it to Irwin. Irwin, long jumper. That is no good. And the race out rebound is taken by Pearson. Pearson quickly up the court. Pearson is going to be going to the free throw line after a blocking foul's called against Simone Gage. Simone tried to set her feet, but just wasn't able to do so. So Pearson will now head to the free throw line. Mariah Pearson, 5'5" junior from Paynesville, Ohio. Misses her first free throw attempt. Checking back in for Heidelberg will be Shiloh Murphy. She has been cycling back and forth with Marissa Liberty. Pearson's second free throw is good. Thompson quickly gets it back in to Simone, who promptly takes it across the timeline. Simone still dribbling to her left. Behind the back, floater in the lane. That is no good, and the rebound is taken by Allie Hawkins for Heidelberg. Capital's gone a little bit cold as of late. Pearson races in, floater, no good, and Simone skies for the rebound. Not bad for a young lady who measures only at 5'5". Watchman will go baseline, drives in. Annika not able to finish the deal at the rim, however, and the rebound is taken by Shiloh Murphy. Hawkins will now slow things up for Heidelberg as she will gently bring it across half court. 6:45 remaining in the second quarter. It is Capital leading Heidelberg 21-16. Nicole Payne over to Shiloh Murphy. Another offensive foul called against Heidelberg. Second time they've had a moving screen of some sort. And now a timeout's going to be taken by Capital. We'll take a timeout as well. 6:39 remaining in the second quarter. Capital 21, Heidelberg 16. This is your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
Army ROTC is one of the best leadership courses in the country and can be a part of your college curriculum. As a potential or current student at Capital University, learning to become a leader will make your college experience even richer and prepare you for the future. Capital Army ROTC can provide scholarships and many more benefits to those who enroll, but the biggest benefit will be experienced firsthand after joining. For more information on Capital Army ROTC, testimonials, and an in-depth look at what the program can offer you, go to www.capital.edu/ROTC.
Welcome back to the Capital Center. Claw inbounds it for the Crusaders. Capital leading Heidelberg 21-16. Under 6.5 to play here in the second quarter. Annika Watchman inbounds it, or gets it to KT. KT fakes it, now gives it to Irwin. Irwin floater in the lane, that's no good. And eventually the ball is corralled by Carly Patrick for Heidelberg. The shooting percentage for Capital has dropped precipitously here in the second quarter. It's now down to 34.8%. Pearson out to Patrick. Patrick will launch a three. That is no good, and Irwin comes away with a defensive rebound. Jenna will now pass it ahead to Simone. Simone back to Irwin. Irwin to Pla. Now to Watchman. Watchman on the right wing. Hanukkah inside to Thompson. Thompson not able to get the bucket to go, but she was fouled on her way to the 10, so now she will head to the free throw line. Thompson coming off of a 17-point, 14-rebound performance against Marietta. An overtime win for the Crusaders over the Pioneers. First free throw is good for KT. 5 points now for Kristen Thompson, a player that we were talking about on the pregame show that is really quickly inserting herself into that discussion for OAC Player of the Year. Second free throw is good for KT. Capital 23, Heidelberg 16, under 5:45 to play in the second quarter. Patrick near the foul line. Loose ball now as Pla was sparring for her, with her for possession of the ball. Meanwhile, it's back out to Patrick. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Out to Hawkins. Hawkins will drive and kick. Three-pointer on the way. No good. And the rebound is taken by Irwin after the miss by Albrecht. Now it's ahead to Watchman. To Pla. Pla now to Irwin on the left wing. Over to Nina Napolitano, who's checked into back into the ball game for Capital. Nina in the lane. Long jumper for Irwin. Irwin not able to get that one to go. And the rebound eventually taken by Hawkins. Those long jumpers have been a bugaboo in this game for Capital. They just have not been able to find the bottom of the net so far. Long jumper, meanwhile, is good for Teresa Jackson, who nails one from the free throw line. It's now Capital 23, Heidelberg 18, 4:42 left to go in the second quarter. Pla to Napolitano on the right wing. Nina dribbling to her right, now dribbling to her left. Back to Pla, swung around to Watchman, swung around to Irwin. Irwin will try to go baseline. Wild shot by Jenna, gets her own shot back, and then her floater in the lane is good. Jenna Irwin now with 9 points in the ball game for Capital. It's 25-18 in favor of the Crusaders with 4:15 remaining in the second quarter. Hawkins back outside, three-pointer off the mark. Thompson chases it down for Capital, and a little bit of an awkward fall that time as Thompson was bumped from behind by Carly Patrick. Actually, Kate Brickner, Simone Gage will check back in. Meanwhile, Jenna Irwin will head to the bench, and she'll get some nice applause from the crowd here at the Cap Center. She's on her way to a double-double. She's got 9 points and 6 rebounds already in this game. Gage trying to dribble in, but now pulls it back out to the right wing. Pla trying to feed a pass into Thompson, but it's intercepted by the Heidelberg defense. Carly Patrick now over to Kate Brickner, the 5'6" sophomore from Tiffin. But now Capital steals it right back. Watchman with the steal. Watchman dribbling ahead, and a reach-in foul is going to be called against Jackie Abrecht, 5'6" senior from New Philadelphia, Ohio. Colleen Fondesi will check in for Capital. Meanwhile, coming in for Heidelberg will be Nicole Payne. Both teams shooting 33% from the field. If you like offense, well, this is honestly not the type of game for you. And the ball went out of bounds. Colleen Fondesi trying to collect the inbounds pass from Simone. But unfortunately, she dribbled the ball right there on the end line, leading to a turnover for the Crusaders. Coming up on 3.5 to play in the second quarter. Capital still finds themselves leading Heidelberg 25-18. Dribbling now is Liberty. Liberty misses the shot, but she was fouled. So she will now head to the free throw line. Actually, that was Teresa Jackson. My apologies. So Jackson, the 5'10" junior from Wakeman, Ohio. Went to Western Reserve High School, not to be confused with Case Western University up in Cleveland. First free throw is good. Irwin checks in. Colleen Fondesi checks out. Second free throw on the way, and it's good. Heidelberg has whittled it down to a 5-point lead for Capital. 3:18 remaining in the second quarter. Irwin on the left wing drives in, And Jackson will be whistled for a reach-in foul. That's happened a lot, especially with Irwin. Anytime a defender has tried to body her up, so to speak, Heidelberg has been hit with fouls. That's now the 15th foul on Heidelberg in this quarter, which means that Capital will be going to the free throw line the rest of the time. Irwin knocks down her first free throw as she reaches double figures. 10 points for the Springfield, Ohio native. 11 points now for Irwin with the second made free throw. 11 points, 6 rebounds for Jenna Irwin. 27-20, Capital with a 7-point lead. Coming up on 3 to play here in the second quarter. Ball thrown away, and Napolitano snatches it out of the air. Nina down the floor, out to Irwin. Irwin to Watchman. Watchman, long jumper. It's no good, and the rebound is taken by Nicole Payne. And now Napolitano snatches it from the hands of Hawkins. She'll race ahead, and she converts at the rim. It's up to a 9-point lead now for Capital, and now Heidelberg will take a timeout. 2:42 remaining in the second quarter. We'll keep things right here at the Capital Center. Speaking of scores, let us get you updated with how the men's team is doing. The men's team, they trail Heidelberg by 1 with 18 seconds to go in regulation. Capital has just taken a timeout after a made layup by Mark Minch. Minch, by the way, with 21 points in this game. A.J. Dixon with 18 for the Crusaders. So we will keep you up to date with how the men's team is going to fare in the end. Meanwhile, back to our game. 2:40 remaining in the second quarter. Women's team looking good. They're up by 9. 29-20 over Heidelberg. Nicole Payne being guarded by Simone Gage. Now it's swung around to Allie Hawkins. Hawkins over to Shelby Dirth. Now with the ball is Jackson. Jackson thought about a jumper. Pulls back. They go inside. Dirth able to make the reverse layup. 29-22. Capital still with the lead. But Heidelberg continues to just hang around. Watchman trying to get the ball inside to Emily Moran, who has checked into the ball game. Now they get it into Moran. Moran's going to be called for a traveling violation. Took one too many steps that time down the lane. So Heidelberg will now be back with the basketball. Time, unfortunately, has run out for Capital, by the way, on the men's side. Your final score, Heidelberg 73, Capital 70. Heidelberg was able to make a layup with 9 seconds to go to extend it to a 3-point lead. It was Tyrell Jackson that missed a 3-point shot at the end of the game. Boy, another close loss for Capital. That has to really sting for Andy Winters and crew. Meanwhile, 1:45 remaining in the second quarter. Capital, the women's team that is, leading Heidelberg 29-22. And Hawkins is fouled by Watchman. 13th foul on Capital in this quarter. Inbounding it will be Nicole Payne. She'll get it into Hawkins. Hawkins top of the arc, being guarded by Watchman. Now over to Jackson. Jackson, 10-foot jumper, rattles home. Capital 29, Heidelberg 24, 1:25 remaining in the second quarter. Gage will slow things up. Now over to Irwin. Jenna Irwin trying to dribble in. Now back out to Gage. Gage over to Watchman. Watchman will now dribble in. Back out to Simone. Simone thought about a 3. Now pulls up for a 3. That is no good. And the rebound is taken by Patrick. And then to add insult to injury, Emily Moran is going to be called for an over-the-back call. Thompson will now head into the game for Moran. Moran will now take a seat. Mariah Pearson checks into the ball game for Heidelberg now. 1:07 to play in the second quarter. Hawkins gets the inbounds. Under a minute to play now. Cross half court to Patrick. Pearson to the left wing. Pearson now back out to Teresa Jackson. Jackson dribbling to her right. Gets it over to Pearson. Pearson will try to go into the lane, and her shot is missed. It's tapped out to Napolitano, but she stepped out of bounds, and it will be Heidelberg basketball once again with 40 seconds to go in the second quarter. Coming up, we'll have the Anthony's Pizzeria halftime show for you, by the way. Take a look at scores around the OAC and take a look at the stats from the first half, among other things. They go inside. Liberty misses the shot, but it's tapped back out to Pearson. Another fresh shot clock for Heidelberg. About a 2-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. And a arm bar is going to be called against Hawkins as Thompson was guarding her. That'll give Capital the ball back with 25.4 seconds to go. Shot clock has been turned off, so Capital can now hold for the last shot of the first half. Gage will go across half court, 18 seconds and counting. Simone guarded by Hawkins. Now to Nina, back to Simone. 10 seconds to go. Gage trying to dribble to Hawkins. 5, back out to Thompson for 3. No good for KT. And a foul is going to be called against Watchman, stopping the clock with 0.4 seconds to go. That'll be the 15th foul on Capital, and free throws should be upcoming here. Actually, hold on a minute. The foul was called against Heidelberg. My mistake. So Watchman will shoot some free throws with 0.4 seconds to go. First free throw, no good for Annika. Second free throw upcoming for Annika. And it's good. Heidelberg will inbound it. Won't have any time to launch a last-minute prayer. And going into the locker room at halftime, Capital leads Heidelberg 30-24. Coming up, we'll have the Anthony's Pizzeria halftime show for you. As we mentioned earlier, we'll take a look at scores around the OAC, examine the stats from the first half, and get you ready for the second half of today's game. Again, at the half, it is Capital 30, Heidelberg 24. This is a presentation of women's basketball here on the Capital Sports Network. Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Anthony's Pizzeria halftime show. I'm Charlie Danis. At the half, it is Capital leading Heidelberg 30-24. A first half in which both teams didn't particularly shoot the ball all that well. Heidelberg 36% from the field, Capital only 32% from the field. A game that is definitely low scoring in nature. Speaking of scores, let's now get you caught up with action around the Ohio Athletic Conference. A busy day for the conference, both on the men's and women's side. They're just about to head out of the locker room at Baldwin Wallace. The Yellow Jackets leading Ohio Northern in that one 38-35. Wilmington with a 41-31 lead over Muskingum. And Mount Union and John Carroll, they've gone to halftime as well. It's the Purple Raiders leading John Carroll 45-36 in that game. We reported on this late in the second quarter. The men's team for Capital falls to Heidelberg today by a final of 73-70. It was a close ball game throughout. Capital had a lead at halftime, 36-29 to be more specific, but Heidelberg stormed right back. They outscored Capital 44-34 in the second half of play. And what ended up happening at the very end was it was Mark Mitch who drove in for a layup that put the Crusaders down by one with less than 18 seconds to go. Chris Moxley for Heidelberg, meanwhile, made a layup with 9 seconds to go. Capital got the ball back. Tyrell Jackson launched a three that was missed, and that was basically your ball game right there. So with the loss, Capital now drops to 8-7 overall and 4-4 within OAC play. Meanwhile, Heidelberg improves to 9-6 and 4-4 within OAC play with the win. The women's team, meanwhile, they're just trying to move a little bit closer to the top dog in Ohio Northern. Ohio Northern 6-0 within conference play. Capital, meanwhile, in a three-way tie for second place with Mount Union and Baldwin Wallace 5-2 to be more specific. We'll take a look at the halftime stats here in just a moment as we continue to roll along here on the Anthony's Pizzeria halftime show.
Families build their sports world around the bucket.
It's not just a guy's night out. You can bring your wife, you can bring your kids.
We get a lot of groups in after games.
Great place after the game.
Kids love to come here.
The Rusty Bucket Restaurant and Tavern.
The Rusty Bucket is a proud supporter of the Capital Crusaders. Visit us after the game at 2158 East Main Street and grab life by the bucket.
Dill's Greenhouse is a local family business dedicated to offering the best shopping experience and honest prices for your gardening needs. If you're in need of annuals, perennials, vegetable plants, or any variety of gardening tools and resources, Dill's Greenhouse is more than happy to get you on the right path. Dill's Greenhouse is located at 5800 Rager Road in Groveport, Ohio, and is open 7 days a week. Visit them online for more information at dillsgreenhouse.net. Dill's Greenhouse. Only nature does it better.
Welcome back to the Anthony's Pizzeria halftime show. Let's now take a look at the halftime stats brought to you by Plank's Cafe and Pizzeria. At the half, it is Capital leading Heidelberg 30-24. First, the stats for the Berg. Heidelberg shooting 36% from the field in that first half. Only 1 of 10 from beyond the arc, 10%. And 5 of 7 from the free throw line, good for 71.4%. The leading scorer in the first half for Heidelberg was Teresa Jackson. She had 6 points. Allie Hawkins had 5. 4 points for Carly Patrick and 2 points each for Marissa Liberty, Shelby Dirth, and Shiloh Murphy. Meanwhile, for Capital, the Crusaders shot 32.3% from the field, 0 of 3 from three-point range, obviously 0.0%, and The free throw percentage in that first half for Capital was 83.3%, 10 of 12 from the charity stripe. Jenna Irvin had a great first half, 11 points to go along with 6 rebounds. Only shot 2 of 8 from the field, but she has done most of her work from the free throw line, 7 of 8 from the charity stripe. 6 points for Kristen Thompson to go along with 4 rebounds, 2 points for Nina Napolitano, 4 points for Simone Gage, 2 points for Shelby Sigmund, 1 point for Annika Watchman, and 4 points for Colleen Fondesi. In terms of the rebounding battle, Capital is winning on that front, leading Heidelberg in that particular category 20-17. Meanwhile, in terms of turnovers, Heidelberg 13, Capital 8, 7 steals for Capital on the afternoon, only 3 for Heidelberg. Both teams back out on the floor getting ready for the second half of action. When we come back, we'll tell you about some neat events taking place here at Capital this afternoon. I'll have that information for you when we come back here on the Anthony's Pizzeria Halftime Show.
Hello, everybody. I'm Keith Jackson. For 50 years, I've witnessed some of the greatest contests in college football. Young men in competition reaching for their potential at the highest level. But their courage is more than matched by another group of young men, the boys fighting Duchenne muscular dystrophy. It is the most prolific genetic killer diagnosed in childhood, and there is no cure. But college football coaches are doing something about it, and you can help. It's called Coach to Cure MD. Text the word CURE, C-U-R-E, to 90999 to donate $5 on your next mobile phone bill, or go online at CoachToCureMD.org. Text the word CURE, C-U-R-E, to 90999 today, and help the college football coaches cure MD. You'll be proud you joined the team.
Brought to you by the American Football Coaches Association. Standard messaging rates apply.
When looking for great food at low price, be sure to visit Peking Dynasty on the corner of Livingston and Sheridan, right near the Capital University campus. Peking Dynasty has a large selection of Chinese food and sushi, along with great-tasting chicken and beef selections that can please any appetite. In addition, Capital University students receive discounts with a valid ID any day of the week. That's Peking Dynasty on the corner of Livingston and Sheridan, right near the Capital campus, where we are proud to say, Go Cap.
Ed, what is that bizarre contraption?
It's my latest Jimmy John's online ordering enhancement, sir.
Really?
Yes, sir. You know our popular Jimmy John's online ordering service?
Yes, click, order, eat.
This is the perfect time-saving companion.
How perfect, Ed?
Presenting the Jimmy John's F4000 three-dimensional sandwich printer.
Oh, boy.
So we put one of these babies in the home of every Jimmy John's customer. They order the sandwich online. And we send a signal to the F4000 to make their sandwich.
Ed, how much does one of these babies cost?
With the quantity discount, $50,000, sir.
And how long does it take to print a sandwich?
About 8 hours, sir.
You see where I'm going with this?
So back to the drawing board?
No, stay away from the drawing board, Ed.
Welcome back to the Anthony's Pizzeria Halftime Show. At the half, it is Capital leading Heidelberg 30-24. Fans, an announcement. Today is the inaugural Community Day presented by Capital Athletics. This afternoon's women's basketball game against Heidelberg is on us. The athletic department is waiving admission with hopes you'll donate instead to the local chapter of Special Olympics Ohio. Enjoy the game, and then afterward, the nationally ranked Crusaders will host a team meet and greet right on the floor. Scheduled posters and team photos will be provided for autographs, or bring your own item for the team to sign. After autographs, the Crusaders will host a free youth basketball skills clinic inside the Cap Center, free of charge. Kids grades 1 through 8 are invited to participate to learn from some of the best in the country and nationally recognized coach Dixie Jeffers. You only get this and more when you're part of the Cap family. Capital looking to extend its win streak to 7 straight. Looked good from a defensive standpoint in that first half. They will try to add another W in the win column here today. They lead Heidelberg 30-24 coming out of halftime. A quick timeout, and then we'll have the second half action right here at the Cap Center. This is your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
Brugger's Bagels has been bringing authentic New York-style bagels, breakfast foods, coffee, soups, and more to the world since 1983, and there is a location in Bexley ready to get your day started right. Located on 2510 East Main Street, Brugger's is open Monday through Friday from 5:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays and Sundays from 6:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Brugger's also can cater your next event and can be reached by phone at 614-236-4000. Brugger's Bagels is proud to support Capital University Athletics.
Welcome back to the Capital Center. Capital leading Heidelberg 30-24 as we come out of halftime. I'm Charlie Danis. Thanks so much for joining us for this presentation of women's basketball here on the Capital Sports Network. Heidelberg will get the ball first. They will go from right to left in order to score. Capital will go from left to right in order to score during this quarter. Hawkins handling the ball for Heidelberg. It's swung around to Patrick. Patrick now over to Pearson. Pearson to Patrick, now into the corner for Payne. Payne will now go on the inside to Liberty. Liberty trying to back her man down. Now it's to Pearson. Pearson has her shot. Well, it looked like it was blocked. Are they going to get Napolitano? No, they are going to get Pearson and Thompson with the foul. First foul of the half for either team. First foul, obviously, for Capital the second half. It's a shooting foul. Pearson will head to the line as a result. First free throw, no good for Pearson, the Paynesville, Ohio native. Pearson now ready for her second free throw, and here it comes. It is good. Capital 30, Heidelberg 25. Just underway here in the second half. Inside to Nina Napolitano for two. Nina was left all by her lonesome. That's about as easy as a layup as you can get. 32-25 in favor of Capital. 9:15 and counting here in the third quarter. Hawkins driving towards the lane. Now it's a kick out. Now it's back to Hawkins at the top of the arc. Swung around to Payne. Payne will go on the inside. Patrick, turnaround Jay, no good. And Irwin grabs another rebound. It's fed ahead to Simone. Simone running with it. Up to Shelby Sigmund. Sigmund not able to finish her shot. Looked to be some contact right there, but no foul called. As Hawkins grabs the loose ball and heads back over the half-court stripe. Now it's inside to Liberty. Back out to Hawkins. Hawkins will launch a three and swish it through. Capital 32, Heidelberg 28. 8:35 remaining in the third quarter. Sigmund on the left wing, top of the arc, to Simone. Simone on the right wing, dribbles to her left. Bounces it over to Sigmund. Sigmund will now go baseline. Tough shot. Liberty blocked it. Goes out of bounds. It will still be Capital basketball. 9 seconds remaining on the shot clock. So now Sigmund will inbound it from the baseline. And a foul is going to be called against Heidelberg. Foul is going to be called against Nicole Payne as she was caught holding a Capital player. Sigmund to Napolitano. By the way, that foul on Payne is the first of the second half for Heidelberg. They tried to throw it inside to Thompson, who's now battling for it. Thompson bounces it over to Sigmund. Sigmund back out to Thompson. Thompson to Gage now. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Simone calling for a pick. Wasn't able to get one, however. Settles for a jumper at the foul line. That is no good, and Pearson gets the rebound for Heidelberg. Now she's motoring up the court. Pearson got fouled on her way to the bucket. Once again, she'll be headed to the free throw line as the foul will be called on Shelby Sigmund. 7:48 to play in the third quarter. Capital 32, Heidelberg 28. That sluggishness that was seen on the offensive end in the overtime win against Marietta is making itself known for Capital here so far this afternoon as Pearson misses the free throw. Colleen Fondesi will check in for Capital meantime, taking the place of Sigmund out there on the floor. Pearson's second free throw is good. Capital 32, Heidelberg 29. Close ball game here in the middle stages of the third quarter. Fondesi to Irwin. They try to get it down the inside of Thomas, and Thompson actually gets the ball back. Unfortunately, she fell down. She's going to be called for a traveling violation. Checking back in now for Heidelberg is Shiloh Murphy. They'll now get it into Nicole Payne. Payne will take it across half court for Heidelberg. Payne on the right wing, over to Hawkins. Hawkins dribbling to her right. Inside to Patrick. Patrick has her shot blocked by Colleen Fondesy out of bounds, and it'll be Capital basketball. Nice defensive play by the junior from Fostoria, Ohio. Colleen Fondesy. 7:07 to play in the third quarter. Capital with a 32-29 lead. Gage working on the right wing. Now over to Fondesy. Colleen lines up a three and knocks it down. Colleen Fondesy. First she makes an impact on the defensive end. Now on the offensive end. Capital 35. Heidelberg 29. Pearson drives in. Floater. No good. Rebound taken by Thompson. And now Thompson's going to be called for another traveling violation as she fell down once again trying to grab the rebound. And KT's starting to get a little steamed right now. Teresa Jackson checks back in for Heidelberg, by the way. They'll inbound it from the baseline, and they will get it in to Jackson. Jackson goes to work, and an offensive foul is going to be called against Jackson. Thompson with a nice job standing her ground defensively. So Fondesy now will get the ball into Gage. 6:40 remaining in the third quarter. Capital 35, Heidelberg 29. Capital trying to go to 7 straight wins. Meanwhile, Heidelberg looking to break out of a recent rut they've been in. They've lost 6 out of their last 8 games entering today's contest. Gage trying to go by Hawkins. Somehow splits 2 defenders, gets the ball off the glass and in. Boy, sometimes the things that Simone Gage is able to do, it almost makes you think that she's related to Harry Houdini. Payne dribbling in for Heidelberg. She loses the ball, but she got fouled by Nina Napolitano, and Napolitano shot. One of our officials will look saying, really, dude? Really? I got called for a foul on that. So now Nicole Payne will head to the free throw line. First free throw is good. Checking in for Heidelberg is Maggie Davolt, 5'4" junior from Orville, Ohio, which happens to be the birthplace of former coach Bob Knight. Second free throw is made. It's now a 37-31 ball game in favor of Capital. 5:51 remaining in the third quarter. Napolitano with the basketball on the left wing, dribbling towards the left elbow, now falls down, trying to grab the ball. It's going to be a jump ball, and it will stay with Capital. Irwin will now inbound it from the far side. Irwin over to Fondesy. Colleen now back to Simone. Simone along the right wing, trying to dribble in. Now it's over to Fondesy, over to Simone, and a foul's going to be called. Let's see here, against Heidelberg. It's going to go against Teresa Jackson. Jackson will have to check out. Meanwhile, let's see here, Carly Patrick and Shelby Dirth check in for Heidelberg. Chelsea Plaw and Annika Watchman check in for Capital. A 6-point lead for Capital with just over 5.5 to play in the third quarter. Fondesy, fadeaway jumper's good for Colleen. Give Colleen Fondesy credit. She has come off the bench and she is making things happen. Capital 39, Heidelberg 31, 5:15 remaining in the third quarter. Dirth along the right wing has her pocket picked by Jenna Irwin. Irwin driving towards the hoop, puts up the shot. Count the basket and a foul. Dirth called for the foul, and Jenna Irwin will go to the free throw line to try to complete the three-point play. Now give her 13 points in this ball game. Irwin makes the free throw. It's an 11-point lead for Capital. The largest lead of the day for the Crusaders. Just over 5.5 to play. Simone Gage nearly picks the pocket of Jackie Abrecht, but it goes out of bounds and it will stay Heidelberg basketball. Timeout now called 5:04 remaining in the third quarter. We shall step aside with Capital leading Heidelberg 42-31. This is Crusaders women's basketball here on the Capital Sports Network.
Don't settle for a tasteless pizza after the game when Anthony's Pizzeria is right in your neighborhood, serving up the best East Coast style pie with their own fresh dough made daily. Family owned and Bexley proud, Anthony's offers the best subs on the block as well as fresh calzones and stromboli. And Anthony's Pizza has been voted #1 on Pleasant Ridge. Dine in or carry out, Anthony's is easy to find at 602 Pleasant Ridge, adjacent to the Capital University Athletic Complex. And as easy as dialing 231-6628 to order the best. 231-6628, Anthony's Pizzeria.
5 minutes to play here in the third quarter. Capital with its largest lead of the afternoon. A 42-31 advantage over Heidelberg. Patrick will dribble on in, and she was fouled. Looks like they're going to get Colleen Fondesi on this call. It'll be the 14th foul on Capital. So now Patrick will head to the free throw line, and it's good for Patrick. Carly Patrick, 5'8" junior from Norwalk, Ohio. Came in here averaging 11.6 points per game. Second free throw is good. It's now a 9-point lead for Capital, 42-33, with 4:45 remaining in the third quarter. Gage on the left wing. Over to Fondesi. Fondesi to Pla. Pla will dribble in, and a traveling violation is going to be called against Pla. She was trying to go to work against Patrick. Kristen Thompson will now check in for Capital, taking the place of Pla out there on the floor. Heidelberg will inbound it to Shiloh Murphy. Murphy will bring it across half court. Now it's over to Dayvault. Dayvault to Shelby Dirth. It's over to Shiloh Murphy. Now it's swung around to Dayvault. 7 on the shot clock. Dayvault maneuvering through traffic. Gets it over to Murphy. 1 second on the shot clock. Murphy gets it off, misses the three-pointer. Loose ball, and Irwin comes away with a rebound. Fed ahead to Simone. Simone across half court, and now Simone will slow things up. Watchman to Fondesi. Fondesi being bothered in the lane that time, and Thompson also took a spill as well. Three-pointer on the way. That's no good, and the rebound is taken by Dayvault. 3:35 remain in the third quarter. Capital with a 42-33 lead over Heidelberg. And a traveling violation is going to be called against Carly Patrick. Boy, we've seen a lot of those calls against both teams today. A full-fledged hockey substitution now for Heidelberg. Hawkins, Liberty, Payne, and Pearson all check back into the ball game for the Student Princes. 3:22 remaining in the third quarter. Capital with a 42-33 lead. Fondesi on the left wing, trying to dribble inside, spins around now to Annika, back out to Simone. 12 seconds on the shot clock. Irwin kicks it out to Watchman. Annika for three. That's no good. It just rattles in and out for Annika. Halfway down the bucket, but just wasn't able to go down fully. Pearson now back out. Three-pointer, nope. Even if the shot had counted, it was a traveling violation once again against Nicole Payne. So now Nina Napolitano will check back in for Capital. Simone will take a breather on the bench. Fondesi to Nina, who will now run the point for Capital. Nina to Watchman. Annika dribbles to her left. Eventually gets it over to Colleen. Now they go inside to Thompson. Thompson back out to Nina on the right wing. 13 on the shot clock. To Watchman. Watchman dribbling in. Back out. Colleen will let loose a three from the left corner. That's no good. Battle for the loose ball. Irwin comes away with it. She'll slash to the hoop. Too strong, and Pearson gets the rebound for Heidelberg. Mariah Pearson over to Hawkins. Hawkins will go baseline. A kick out now to Payne. Now they go on the inside to Liberty. Back out to Hawkins for 3. That's no good. And the rebound taken by Annika Watchman for Capital. Colleen will get it to Nina. And now Nina will slow things up as she crosses half court. Capital going into their half court offense. Watchman on the right wing. Passes it off to Irwin. Now it's over to Fondesi. They go inside to Thompson on the left block. Turnaround J is good for Kristen Thompson. Capital 44, Heidelberg 33, 1:47 remaining in the third quarter. Hawkins, guarded by Napolitano on the right wing. She'll now go inside to Patrick, and now a reach in. Nope, an offensive foul is going to be called once again against Heidelberg. They'll get them with an armbar. Momentary pause in the action as Nicole Payne had to tie her shoe. And so now Napolitano will go across half court. Each team with 4 fouls, by the way, in this third quarter. Napolitano dribbling in, splitting 2 defenders, and she got fouled by Liberty. So now she will head to the free throw line. Nice job by Nina Napolitano. It's already the 15th foul on Heidelberg. So Capital will now be shooting free throws the rest of the way in this third quarter. Capital has stretched their lead to 11 over Heidelberg. First free throw is good for Nina. Akron, Ohio native. Shiloh Murphy back into the ballgame for the Student Princes. And now Chelsea Pla will also come in, giving Kristen Thompson a breather. And it looks like Shelby Sigmund will also be coming in as well. Second free throw is good for Napolitano. So now Sigmund will come into the ballgame for Irwin. Good strategy by Capital head coach Dixie Jeffers. She's just trying to get people as well rested as possible. And now Simone Gage will come back in. Ball's inbounded to Hawkins. 1:22 remaining in the third quarter. Capital with a 13-point lead, 46-33 over Heidelberg. Pearson on the left wing, guarded by Nina. Pearson will try to drive on in. Has her shot blocked by Nina. And Napolitano comes up with a loose ball. Nina running the floor, down the lane with the left hand. Scores! 48-33. Capital extending their lead a little bit further. Under a minute to play now in the third quarter. Shiloh goes to work. Jumper no good. Gets her own offensive rebound, however. And now Heidelberg will reset offensively. 43 seconds and counting in the third quarter. And now time has been called. A little conference out on the left wing. And now Heidelberg will be inbounding it right there. There was no foul called, no timeout called. That was rather confusing. Jessica Barnes, top of the arc. Now they go on the inside to Nicole Payne. Payne has her shot blocked by Fondesi. And Colleen battling for the loose ball. It'll lead to a shot clock violation anyway for Heidelberg. And now they're conversing to see if that shot did indeed hit the rim. It did not. They're sticking with the shot clock violation call. And that will give the ball back to Capital here. 0.6 second differential between shot clock and game clock. So Capital can virtually hold for the last shot of this third quarter. Gage to Fondesi. Fondesi now to Sigmund. Sigmund lost it, but no, now a traveling violation is going to be called against Shelby Sigmund. I thought for certain they were going to call a reach-in foul on Nicole Payne, but I guess not. They'll feed it ahead to Pearson. Pearson will go on the inside, and now Pla is going to be called for a foul after she was trying to bat the ball away from Shiloh Murphy. That'll be the 15th foul on Capital, and now Heidelberg will be heading to the free throw line here in the form of Shiloh Murphy, the 5'9" sophomore from Zanesville, Ohio. Went to Reynoldsburg High School. First free throw is good. Second free throw, good for Murthy. Capital 48, Heidelberg 35. Under 9 seconds to play here in the third quarter. Napolitano for three. Nina not able to hit it, but Pla gets the rebound, and Chelsea gets it to rattle home. They will inbound it to Pearson, but Pearson not enough time to launch a last-second shot. At the end of three quarters, it is Capital 50, Heidelberg 35. We'll take a timeout. This is your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
When looking for great food at low price, be sure to visit Peking Dynasty on the corner of Livingston and Sheridan, right near the Capital University campus. Peking Dynasty has a large selection of Chinese food and sushi, along with great-tasting chicken and beef selections that can please any appetite. In addition, Capital University students receive discounts with a valid ID any day of the week. That's Peking Dynasty on the corner of Livingston and Sheridan, right near the Capital campus, where we are proud to say, Go Cap!
Brugger's Bagels has been bringing authentic New York-style bagels, breakfast foods, coffee, soups, and more to the world since 1983, and there is a location in Bexley ready to get your day started right. Located on 2510 East Main Street, Brugger's is open Monday through Friday from 5:30 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturdays and Sundays from 6:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Brugger's also can cater your next event and can be reached by phone at 614-236-4000. Brugger's Bagels is proud to support Capital University Athletics.
Welcome to the fourth quarter. Capital leading Heidelberg 50-35. This is a presentation of women's basketball here on the Capital Sports Network. I'm Charlie Danis, and we're glad to have you along for the ride today. Capital trying to stretch its win streak to 7 straight, taking on the Student Princes of Heidelberg this afternoon. And, Pearson got away with a walk right there. I don't know how they were not able to call that. Pearson will get it back to Hawkins for Heidelberg. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Hawkins will drive on in. Wild shot. Patrick gets the offensive rebound, loses it. Gage comes up with it for Capital. Capital back with the basketball. Nina Napolitano, top of the arc. Now over to the right wing. Nearly has her pocket pick, but she gets it back. Napolitano back out to Colleen. Colleen will dribble through. Jumper, no good. Battle for the loose ball. Out of bounds, it'll be Heidelberg basketball. Checking in for Heidelberg will be Jackie Abrecht. Capital sporting a 15-point lead. Looking to close out the Student Princes today. Hawkins across half court to the right wing. So over to Patrick. Now back to Hawkins. Hawkins will launch a three and swish it through. Capital 50, Heidelberg 38, 8:52 remaining in the fourth quarter. This game is not over quite yet. Sigmund to the left wing. To Pla, swung around to Simone on the right wing. Simone to Colleen at the top of the arc. Inside to Chelsea. Back out to Shelby. Now over to Simone. Simone, she's situated at the top of the arc. Back out to Sigmund. Sigmund will drive in. Shelby back out to Colleen. Colleen 15-footer. That's no good. And Hawkins gets the rebound. Hawkins across half court. Hawkins dribbling in and foul by Chelsea Pla. First foul of the fourth quarter. And now 3 substitutions for Capital. Irwin, Thompson, and Watchman. Back out there on the floor for Sigmund, Pla, and Napolitano. Payne will inbound it. Liberty lays it up and in. 50-40. Capital with a 10-point lead. Irwin loses it, and now she's going to be called for a foul. Lost the ball to Nicole Payne, and as Irwin was falling down, there was contact with her and Payne. So now Napolitano will check back in. Colleen Fondesi to the bench. Also coming out to the court is Teresa Jackson. Checking in for Carly Patrick for Heidelberg. He'll get it into Hawkins now. Well, Capital was leading by 15 to begin the fourth quarter. Heidelberg has trimmed it to 10. Nicole Payne, they'll go in. It's tipped up in the air by Simone. Thompson comes away with the loose ball, and then a foul is called on the inside against Liberty. First foul on Heidelberg, in the quarter. Capital has 2. 7:50 to play. Capital with a 50-40 advantage over Heidelberg. It's to Watchman on the right wing. Watchman into Thompson. Thompson dribbling in on the right wing. Puts it up, got fouled, didn't make the shot, but KT will head to the free throw line. Kristen Thompson, Cincinnati, Ohio native. Now with the charity stripe. First shot is good for KT. Liberty will check out, by the way. Shiloh Murphy back in for Heidelberg. Thompson's second shot on the way, up and good for KT. 10 points for Kristen Thompson. And Dixie Jeffers will also call a timeout here for Capital. We'll step aside for a moment. 7:36 to play in the fourth quarter. It's Capital 52, Heidelberg 40, here on your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
It's the perfect sports bar because it's not just a sports bar.
I'm Gary Calico, founder and president of Rusty Bucket. A lot of families build their sports world around the bucket.
It's not just a guy's night out. You can bring your wife, you can bring your kids.
We get a lot of groups in after games.
Great place after the game.
Kids love to come here.
The Rusty Bucket Restaurant and Tavern.
The Rusty Bucket is a proud supporter of the Capital Crusaders. Visit us after the game at 2158 East Main Street and grab life by the bucket.
With 14 TVs to watch your favorite team or the next big event, Planks Cafe and Pizzeria in German Village is ready for you and your group today. Plenty of free parking, free Wi-Fi, banquet rooms for private parties, and daily specials. What more reason do you need to visit Planks Cafe and Pizzeria? Planks is located at 743 Parsons Avenue and has been serving the Columbus community since 1939. Planks is on the web at plankscafe.com or available by phone at 614-443-6251. Planks Cafe and Pizzeria is a proud supporter of Crusader Athletics.
Back here at the Capital Center, 7:22 to play in the fourth quarter. It is Capital 52, Heidelberg 40. Foul called against Capital. Simone Gage was the culprit on a reach-in foul. It's now 3 fouls on Capital, 2 on Heidelberg here in the fourth quarter. Hawkins kicks to Payne. Now it's over to Abrecht. Now it's back to Hawkins on the right wing. Hawkins will dribble to her left, being guarded by Watchman. They will go inside now. Turnaround J is no good for Jackson, and the rebound taken by Thompson. Thompson now to Gage. Gage to Irwin. Irwin over to Napolitano, and dangerous pass right there as it was nearly picked off by Payne. Gage on the right wing, 11 seconds on the shot clock. Irwin to Watchman. Watchman dribbling to her right, now to her left. Losing the ball out of bounds, and it will stay Capital basketball with 5 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Watchman will inbound it from the far side. And she's having trouble finding a person. Now to Gage. Gage, jumper, no good for Simone. Tip up in the air. Gage races and grabs it for Capital. Fresh shot clock for the Crusaders. Great hustle by Simone Gage. She was the one that tipped it up in the air, and then somehow, some way, she was able to race to the exact spot where the ball was just in time to grab the rebound. And now a kick ball is going to be called against Hawkins. That will stop the clock with 6:15 remaining in the fourth quarter, 16 on the shot clock, with Capital leading Heidelberg 52-40. Simone Gage, the Dayton, Ohio native, will inbound it from the baseline, and she'll get it into Watchman. Watchman will launch a 15-footer. That's no good. And now a foul is going to be called against Simone Gage. Checking in for Heidelberg, once again, is Mariah Pearson. And checking in for Capital is Colleen Fondesi. Fondesi will check in for Simone Gage, which means that Nina Napolitano will now run the point for Capital. Capital 52, Heidelberg 40. Just over 6 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter. Murphy to Pearson. Pearson dribbling over to the foul line. Now it's over to Hawkins. Hawkins over to Payne. Payne to Abrecht. They'll go inside, and Thompson's going to be called for the foul. She has an incredulous look on her face after that call. It's now the 15th foul on Capital, so now the rest of the way here in the fourth quarter, Heidelberg will be shooting free throws. Shiloh Murphy at the foul line. Misses the first free throw. Murphy now with her second free throw attempt, and it's good. Capital 52, Heidelberg 41. Murphy will check out. And I think they sent Teresa Jackson back in there for Heidelberg. Irwin, meanwhile, will inbound it from the baseline. And now Heidelberg will be going with some version of the full court press. Watchman bounces into Thompson, who lays it up and in. That's how you break the full court press. And apparently Dixie is giving it to one of the referees in this game. Patrick on the right wing. Over to Abrecht. Drives on in, and the foul is going to be called against Capital. Looks like Jenna Irwin was called for the foul. So Jackie Abrecht, the 5'6" senior from New Philadelphia, Ohio, at the free throw line. First free throw is good. Here comes the second free throw. That's good as well. Capital 54, Heidelberg 43, 5:22 remaining in the fourth quarter. Once again, Capital doing a nice job breaking the press, but Watchman has it poked away by Pearson. Luckily for Watchman, Pearson will be called for a reach-in foul. Irwin will now inbound it from the baseline. Into Thompson. KT not able to get the layup to go, and Pearson comes away with a rebound. Head to Hawkins. Hawkins glides in, off the glass, and in for Allie Hawkins. Capital 54, Heidelberg 45. The lead has now been trimmed to 9 with under 5 to play here in the fourth quarter. Watchman dribbling to her right. Boy, Pearson, she's wanting every piece of that ball. She's trying to poke it away from Watchman. Now inside to Colleen, who finishes at the rim. And now it's Nicole Payne who has to once again tie her shoe for Heidelberg. This will slow things up momentarily. 4:45 remain in the fourth quarter. Capital with a 12-point lead, 56-45 over Heidelberg. Crusaders trying to extend that win streak to 7 straight. Already number 23 in the country. Hawkins, cross half court. Now it's over to Jackie Abrecht. To Hawkins. Hawkins for 3. That is no good, and Colleen with a strong rebound for Capital. Now it's over to Nina Napolitano. Nina on the right wing. And now a foul is called against Nicole Payne. Payne with a reach-in foul. 14th foul on Heidelberg, so Capital won't be in the bonus just yet. Napolitano. Watchman on the right wing. To Napolitano. Nina over to Colleen Fondesi. Irwin. Step back jumper, no good, and the rebound is taken by Pearson. Pearson quickly up the floor. Three-pointer on the way, and that is an air ball for Abrecht. Patrick is the offensive rebound for Heidelberg. She'll dribble on in, off the glass, and in for Carly Patrick. 9-point lead for Capital. Once again, 3:45 remaining in the fourth quarter. Napolitano double teamed, and now the foul is called against Nicole Payne. That's now the 15th foul on Heidelberg, so now Napolitano will head to the free throw line. Free throws for both teams the rest of the way. Napolitano's first free throw is up and good. Couple of substitutions now for Heidelberg. Cassidy Frank and Marissa Liberty check in. Second free throw good for Napolitano. Timeout's going to be taken by Capital. 3:41 remaining in the fourth quarter. Actually, that last shot will not count. A lane violation was called against Capital. Let's get you caught up with scores now around the OAC. A busy day here in the Ohio Athletic Conference. Keeping it right here at the Cap Center with Capital leading Heidelberg 57-47 with 3:41 to play in regulation. It's a final at Baldwin-Wallace. The Yellow Jackets knocked off by Ohio Northern 67-63. So now Ohio Northern will be an impressive 7-0 within OAC play. Meanwhile, 55 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. Muskingum trailing Wilmington 72-64 in that one. And with 5:57 remaining in the fourth quarter at Mountain Union, the Purple Raiders lead John Carroll 78-70. Oh, one other game that I forgot to mention. It's a final at Marietta. Otterbein comes away with an 86-63 win in that one. So Carly Patrick will now inbound it for Heidelberg, who trails Capital 57-47. 3:35 remaining in the fourth quarter. With that loss by Baldwin-Wallace, Capital can now inch a little closer to owning sole possession of second place within the OAC. They would still be tied with Mountain Union if the Purple Raiders are somehow able to pull it out against John Carroll. A traveling violation called against Liberty for Heidelberg. Another turnover for the Berg this afternoon. It's now 22 on the Student Princess. 3:15 remain in the fourth quarter. Capital with a 57-47 lead over Heidelberg. Fondesi over to Napolitano. Napolitano over to Fondesi. Back to Gage on the right wing. Simone will dribble in, split two defenders, and get the bucket to go. Wow. Gail Sayers once said, give me 18 inches of daylight. That's all I need. That time, Simone Gage had, 2 or 3 inches between two defenders. Somehow it was able to split them perfectly and get the ball to go into the hoop. Maggie Dayvault over to Shiloh Murphy. Murphy on the right wing. 8 seconds on the shot clock for Heidelberg, who now trails Capital 59-47. Liberty walks in right past Thompson. Thompson thought that Liberty should have been called for an armbar that time. It's now back down to a 10-point lead for Capital. 2:15 remain in the fourth quarter. Capital now just looking to burn some clock. Gage is now going to be fouled by Maggie Dayvault, and Gage will head to the free throw line. Gage, normally one of the best free throw shooters, not only on the Capital squad, but also in the entire OAC, but this year has been a little bit of a struggle for her at the Cherry Stripe, 58.3%. First free throw is good for Simone. 11-point lead for Capital with 2:05 to play in regulation. Coming up, we'll have the Peking Dynasty postgame show for you. Take a look at the stats, take a look at all the scores around the OAC, and we'll even have a chance to talk with Capital head coach Dixie Jeffers. Second free throw good. Actually, no good, excuse me. Capital 61, Heidelberg 49, 1:52 remaining in regulation. Patrick, back out to Pearson. Pearson dribbles in. Floater in the lane, no good. Tipped up in the air, and Irwin comes down with it for Capital. 1:40 remain in the fourth quarter. Gage, over to Irwin. 1 minute, 30 seconds remain in regulation. Capital with a 61-49 lead over Heidelberg. Gage dribbles in, kicks it back out to Irwin. Irwin for three. Jenna knocks it down. And that might just be the dagger for Capital this afternoon. 64-49, Capital with the lead. 1:09 remaining in regulation. Hawkins over to Cassidy Frank. Frank to Hawkins. Hawkins dribbles on in, has her pocket picked. It's now fed ahead to Simone Gage. Gage will not lay it up and in, just a little too strong off the glass. Pearson grabs the rebound for Heidelberg. 48 seconds remaining in regulation. It's over to Cassidy Frank. Three-pointer on the way, no good for Carly Patrick, and the rebound is taken by Thompson. Fed ahead now to Colleen Fondesi, and Colleen will do the smart thing, pull it out to the arc, and just waste some clock. The crowd here at the Capitol Center comes to its feet, knowing that a victory is once again coming Capital's way. Gage drives towards the hoop, off the glass and in for Simone. Capital 66, Heidelberg 49, 18.1 seconds to go. Hawkins will inbound it to Pearson. Pearson across half court. 11 seconds to go. Pearson fouled on her way to the bucket by Napolitano. Stops the clock with 7.17 seconds to go. So Pearson will now head to the free throw line. Pearson on the day, 5 points, 9 rebounds. And she misses her first free throw attempt. Second free throw good for Pearson. Irwin will simply inbound it to Simone Gage. And that, as they say, will be that. Another victory for Capital. They defeat Heidelberg by a final of 66-50 today. Coming up, we'll have the Peking Dynasty postgame show. Take a look at the final stats. Look at some scores around the OAC. And actually, I've just been told we will be talking with assistant coach Jason Wright, since Coach Jeffers is going to be busy preparing for some other activities around here on the Capital campus. So we'll have that all coming up for you. This has been a presentation of Crusaders women's basketball here on the Capital Sports Network. Again, the final, Capital 66, Heidelberg 50.
Jimmy John's, world's greatest gourmet sandwiches. Ed speaking.
Yes, I need a sandwich delivery right away.
What kind of sandwich?
I don't care. Just get it to 215 Elm Street right now.
I'm on my way.
Jimmy John's. Thanks for getting here so fast.
You're welcome, sir. Here's your sandwich. By the way, did you know your house is on fire?
That's why I called Jimmy John's.
Fire makes you hungry?
No, I knew you'd get here fast. Grab a bucket.
We're going to need more than 2 guys, sir.
You're right. What'll we do?
Leave it to me, sir. Hello, boss. Send everyone you got to 215 now. Doesn't matter what kind of sandwich, sir. I'll explain later. Thank you, sir.
Jimmy John's. Come in. Sir, did you know your house is on fire? Yes, I did. Grab a bucket.
Jimmy John's.
Come in.
Sir, did you know your
Yes,
house
I
is
did.
on
Grab a
fire?
bucket.
Jimmy John's.
Come in.
Sir, did you know...
Yes, I did. Grab a bucket.
Jimmy John's.
Come in.
Sir, did you...
Yes, I did. Grab a bucket. Fire department. Come in. Sir, did you know you... It's okay, Captain. We got it handled. Here for a sandwich? Thanks, but tell me something. Shoot. Why didn't you call the fire department first? I did.
When looking for great food at low price, be sure to visit Peking Dynasty on the corner of Livingston and Sheridan, right near the Capital University campus. Peking Dynasty has a large selection of Chinese food and sushi, along with great-tasting chicken and beef selections that can please any appetite. In addition, Capital University students receive discounts with a valid ID any day of the week. That's Peking Dynasty on the corner of Livingston and Sheridan, right near the Capital campus, where we are proud to say, Go Cap.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Capital Center. This is the Peking Dynasty postgame show. Today, Capital defeating Heidelberg by a final of 66-50. I'm Charlie Danis. Today was one of those games where it wasn't really pretty from an offensive standpoint, but Capital was able to tough its way to yet another victory. It's now 7 straight wins now for Capital as this team appears to be hitting its stride. And the offense could have been a little bit better for Capital today, but as they say in sports, a win is a win. Let's now take a look at the final stats from this game. Let's start with Heidelberg. The Student Princes shot 34.1% from the field, 18.8% from three-point range, 3 of 16 from beyond the arc, and 73.9% from the free throw line, 17 of 23 from the charity stripe. The leading scorer for Heidelberg this afternoon was Allie Hawkins. Shot 5 of 9 from the field, 3 of 4 from three-point range, good for 13 points and also 3 rebounds on the day. 8 points for Carly Patrick to go along with 6 rebounds. 6 points for Marissa Liberty, 2 points each for Nicole Payne and Jackie Abrecht. 6 points for Mariah Pearson, 6 points for Teresa Jackson, 2 points for Shelby Dirth, and 5 points for Shiloh Murphy. Meanwhile, for Capital, the Crusaders shot 39% from the field today, 22% from three-point range, only 2 of 9 from beyond the arc, and 18 of 20 from the free throw line, good for 90%. Jenna Irwin was your leading scorer today for Capital. She had 17 points to go along with 9 rebounds. Only shot 4 of 12 from the field today, but she was 8 of 9 from the free throw line and also 1 of 1 on her only attempt from beyond the arc. 12 points each for Kristen Thompson and Simone Gage. Thompson, another near double-double, 12 points to go along with 8 rebounds. 11 points also for Colleen Fondesi. 5 of 10 from the field for Colleen, 1 of 3 from three-point range to go along with 7 rebounds. 9 points for Nina Napolitano, 2 points each for Shelby Sigmund and Chelsea Plough, and 1 point for Annika Watchman. In terms of the rebounding battle, Capital won that statistical category, 34-31 over Heidelberg. Heidelberg turns the ball over 23 times. Capital, 13 turnovers on the afternoon. 6 assists for Capital, only 5 for Heidelberg. 12 steals for Capital, and 3 steals for Heidelberg on this afternoon. Coming up will be, now actually, he just walked in the door. We are usually joined by Capital head coach Dixie Jeffers, but on this day, she's busy doing other things here for Capital, so we welcome in assistant coach Jason Wright. Well, Coach, congratulations on the win, 66-50 win over Heidelberg. I want to talk about the defense for a second. It was just one of those games that really wasn't all that pretty from the offensive standpoint, but you forced turnovers and you took advantage.
Hey, you took the words right out of my mouth. That was not the most visually pleasing game to watch, but we'll take a league victory anytime we can get it. We did sit down and play D. Offensively, though, we struggled to execute, but hey, a win's a win. We'll take them any way we can get it. One of the stats that stood out to me, Coach, was you shot really well from the free throw line, 18 of 20. It seemed like Jenna Irwin, she was making her living at the free throw line tonight. Jenna with some heady play out there today. Yeah, she played pretty well, and she is a smart player. And, our goal across the board is to be aggressive, attack the goal, and try to get to the foul line. With the new rules, we feel we can take advantage of that. And she did a real good job, and as a team, we shot free throws very, very well today. Carly Patrick and Marissa Liberty were the 2 leading scorers coming into this game for Heidelberg, both averaging double figures. You hold them to 8 points and 6 points respectively. Talk to me about the defensive job that your team was able to do against those 2. Well, obviously they were a main point on our scouting report, so we knew we needed to shut them down or at least know where they were at. We did a pretty good job of that. We did have some defensive lapses at times, but, again, we were able to recover and rebound, and, like I said, a good team defensive effort. So, final question, Coach. 7 straight win. I know there's still a lot of basketball left to be played here. Do you feel like the team is kind of hitting its stride a little bit, going in the direction that you and Coach Jeffers and everybody else associated with the program is expecting it? Yeah, I mean, we're on a good track right now. Obviously, we got some things to improve upon, and like you said, there's a lot of basketball left. We're taking it 1 game at a time, which means we're up in Muskingum on Wednesday. Never an easy place to play. So we're going to get back to work Monday, work on some fundamentals, and see if we can't keep this bus rolling.
All right, Coach. Well, hey, congratulations on the win over Heidelberg, and we'll see you next time.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
That was assistant coach, I should say, Jason Wright, joined us here on the Peking Dynasty postgame show. Our postgame coach interview brought to you by Jimmy John's, freaky fast delivery and world-class catering. You can always count on that with Jimmy John's. We'll be back to wrap things up here at the Capitol Center. Again, our final score, Capitol 66, Heidelberg 50. This is your home for Crusaders women's basketball at the Capitol Sports Network.
Bagels has been bringing authentic New York-style bagels, breakfast foods, coffee, soups, and more to the world since 1983, and there is a location in Bexley ready to get your day started right. Located on 2510 East Main Street, Brugger's is open Monday through Friday from 5:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturdays and Sundays from 6:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Brugger's also can cater your next event and can be reached by phone at 614-236-4000. Brugger's Bagels is proud to support Capital University Athletics.
Ed, what is that bizarre contraption?
It's my latest Jimmy John's online ordering enhancement, sir.
Really?
Yes, sir. You know our popular Jimmy John's online ordering service?
Yes, click, order, eat.
This is the perfect time-saving companion.
How perfect, Ed?
Presenting the Jimmy John's F4000 three-dimensional sandwich printer.
Oh, boy.
So we put one of these babies in the home of every Jimmy John's customer. They order the sandwich online. And we send a signal to the F4000 to make their sandwich.
Ed, how much does one of these babies cost?
With the quantity discount, $50,000, sir.
And how long does it take to print a sandwich?
About 8 hours, sir.
You see where I'm going with this?
So back to the drawing board?
No, stay away from the drawing board, Ed.
Welcome back to the Peking Dynasty postgame show. I'm Charlie Danis. Today it is Capital defeating Heidelberg by a final of 66-40. Speaking of scores, let's give you one last check of scores around the Ohio Athletic Conference. This is the time of the year where teams start to separate themselves from the pack. Ohio Northern defeats Baldwin-Wallace today by a final of 67-63. Wilmington defeats Muskingum today by a final of 77-69. John Carroll knocks off Mount Union 90-83, and Otterbein 86-63 winners over Marietta. So let me tell you what that means for Capital going forward. With Mount Union and Baldwin-Wallace falling today, Capital assumes sole possession of second place within the OAC. The only team standing in their way of first place, well, that would happen to be Ohio Northern. With their win today over Baldwin-Wallace, they improved to 7-0. But with Capital's win today, that improves them to 6-2. So Capital not that far behind the Polar Bears. Remember, the women's team, they have a date with Ohio Northern, as a matter of fact, next Sunday. That game will be at home, and we'll have that game for you right here on the Capital Sports Network. Game scheduled for, as I take a look at the schedule here, for a 3 o'clock tip, which means that we'll get the pregame show started at 2:30 that day. Speaking of basketball, the men played earlier today, and Capital dropped a tough one. They fell to Heidelberg by a final of 73-70. This was a game in which Capital had a 36-29 lead at the half, but Heidelberg storms right back, 44-34. The Student Princes outscore the Crusaders. It was a game that came down to the final seconds or so. Mark Minch's layup with 18 seconds to go in regulation made it a 71-70 affair in favor of Heidelberg. But after a timeout called by Capital, it was Chris Moxley who made a layup, extending the lead to 73-70 with 9 seconds to go. Tyrell Jackson launched a three-pointer at the end and unfortunately was not able to connect. With the loss, Capital drops to 8-7 on the season, 4-4 with an OAC play. Meanwhile, Heidelberg, with the win, improves to 9-6 overall and 4-4 within OAC play. With a win here today, the women improved to 6-2 within OAC play, 13-2 overall. They will maintain that top 25 ranking going forward. So here's what the schedule will look like for the women's team starting next week. As Coach Wright referenced earlier, they're going to be on the road at Muskingum next Wednesday. That game will tip off at 7:30. So with the women being at Muskingum, that means that the men will be hosting Muskingum that night. That game is scheduled for a 7 o'clock tip, which means that we will get things started with the pregame show starting at 6:30. And then on Saturday, big matchup for the women's team as they host the Polar Bears of Ohio Northern. As I mentioned earlier, that game will tip off at 3 o'clock with the pregame show starting at 2:30, which means that the men will be at Ohio Northern that day. That game will tip off at 3 o'clock for the men. Well, that'll do it for us. This is Charlie Dance saying one final time. The final score today, Capitals 66, Heidelberg 50. We'll see you on Wednesday night when Capitals men's basketball team plays host to Muskingum. We'll see you, everybody.